Good morning, Yasha Allah. In the name of the Most High Yahweh, our King, Malak, and the Beloved, the word of his power, Hamashiach, and in the presence of our Kingdom Governor, the Blessed Ruach. The privilege is mine, has been given to me by the Most High to bring a word unto you, Yasha Allah, my brethren, brothers and sisters, all in the diaspora, and whomsoever has ears to hear, let him hear. The word I bring you today, Yasha Allah, is a good word, as always, and the title of my discourse with you is The Dimensions of Revelation. The dimensions of revelation. Now, this word revelation has of late become now a household word. And I think I would be in good standing to say that with the event of our brother, Dr. Miles Monroe, this word of revelation, and we could add kingdom revelation with it, has become more popularized. I give you to recognize that my brother, your brother, teacher, Dr. Miles Monroe, was from the tribe of Benjamin. And so he was in the order of the rise of the tribe of Benjamin, and so was the hiding of his power. Yes. And while we would speak words of commendation concerning our brother and teacher, Dr. Miles Monroe, there's also a word of caution that comes with the delivery. When we look at a teaching that Brother Miles ministered, I guess it would have been commenced or started somewhere around 2009, I believe, 2010, thereabout. He undertook a teaching called Discovering the Kingdom. And I invite you, brothers and sisters, to go and view the series of teaching that, in my view, became the hallmark of Monroe's powerful delivery, unmatched, and so we celebrate our brother. I think I could say, and maybe you won't understand me, maybe you don't understand me at this time being, I could say of my brother, my compatriot, Dr. Miles, was truly in his element when he undertook to declare the word of the kingdom. It was his lot as a part of the tribe of Benjamin and of the 12 tribes to have been in the pathway to receive and also deliver the word that he was blessed with, to be added into, to be a part of the overall kingdom word delivery to the 12 tribes. That was his calling. Sadly, he sidestepped the mandate. That's on the negative side. And so we have had this, we've had we have had a situation of disconnect in the overall word of our delivery to the nations, well, specifically to Yasha'Allah, as the Mashiach tells us in Matthew chapter 10, I believe, and chapter 15, he tells us to go to none other than 12 tribes of the children of Yasha'Allah. And in Matthew chapter 28, he says, according to his original statement, go not into the way of the nations, the Gentiles, and the cities of the Samaritans. Enter not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Yasha'Allah. And as you teach, as you preach, say, the kingdom of Al-Hayam has come to you, Yasha'Allah. And so, with the majesty, the majestic, maybe not that word, maybe the esteemed privilege that was rolled out or conferred upon our brother, Dr. Miles. As I was saying before, he was in his element to do what he did. I only have a personal feeling and a view to it that he could have been still greater if he had given heed to the leadership of the one he claimed to be following, which I understand that the Ruach was the power source that committed to him the word to teach as he did. But he lost his way. And I want to share with you a few words of correction for the sake of the family, children, of my brother, my compatriot, Dr. Miles, and for his fellowship ministry. Yes, so that they would, if they give ear to it, they will find their way and be reconciled to the one who had called Dr. Miles and given him the ministry of reconciliation as he has given to the 12 tribes of Yasha'Allah. And so we want to give the family and Yasha'Allah as a whole, we're giving you counsel here from the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28. to show the reason, or to show the dynamics of the cause of Brother Miles' demise. All right. Well, let me reference the esteemed grace and power exhibited when our brother Dr. Miles allowed an interview with one Benny Hinn in 09, 2010 or something like that. It was the Rediscovering the Kingdom series. That was a master series. And if nothing else, I believe it would have been the trigger, a definite trigger of undermining and hatred towards Brother Dr. Miles by his handlers. I mean, if you check it out, Rediscovering the Kingdom, that series was a powerhouse of delivery by Dr. Miles. And if you know the history of his handlers, then you perhaps will understand the content of my comments concerning his handlers. All right, so let's take a word of direction right here and show you what led to the demise of our brother Dr. Miles, the powerhouse Monroe. That's right. We go to Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy chapter 28. And we take verse 1 and 2 first. Let's read. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahweh thy Elohim, to observe and do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Most High Elohim will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. Set thee on high above all nations of the earth. It's all right if you have problems with that declaration. That's your business. We're dealing with the Most High business. And let's look at verse 2 as well. And all these blessings, these privileges, shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Most High thy power, your king, your Malak. And we go to the negative view in verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy Elohim, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. And so, Yasha Allah, for your benefit, as I know many of you have reviewed Dr. Miles's contributions. in particular in regards of the series that I am bringing to the forefront at this time, Rediscovering the Kingdom. That was the powerhouse delivery of Dr. Miles Monroe, which I believe cemented the hatred of his handlers and those who were in opposition to him as Yasha'Allah, as a Yashrualite, and coming of the household of Anyamya. So these things were together. These were two items of a viewpoints that I am able to address and put together from an inside view of him and about his ministry, what was committed unto us as a tribe of Banyamya. All right? And so the power of the kingdom, this rediscovering the kingdom, that is, I say, would be what we might say, the trigger, if you will, of the vicious temptation and willingness to seek his downfall and his demise. Let's look at these curses a little bit more. And I encourage you to look at the beginning of the verse or chapter 28 and see, as it reads down, see the blessings. And then, of course, from verse 15 go down, you look at the curses. All right? And so, in my view, brother, Dr. Miles Monroe was at the point of receiving the outpouring of the curses upon him at the time of his demise, which he, in my view, my humble view, he probably knew all about it. This is my view of it. I don't think it was a secret to him. In any case, he allowed it because he was the one who gave consent to a relationship with the haters, with those who wanted his downfall. And what is, I mean, it's a sad thing to me, for me to swallow, for me to, try to comfort myself about being as one of his tribesmen and having, as it were, an intimate knowledge of the purpose of his life, being that it is the same mantle that's put upon me and the rest of my tribe, Benjamin. So I understand what he was confronting, what he was attending to, and striving to negotiate. It's tough position. And I'm thankful for the little time we had with him when he was going on the straight path before he was steered out of the way. But rediscovering the kingdom It's a power-packed dynamite of revelation from Dr. Miles. And, his handlers couldn't take that. I mean, having people in the camp that he made his mentors and guru, if you will. He gave them that authority to be such. Men who were years ahead of him, teaching and preaching. And here comes this Hebrew. Here comes this young Hebrew and destroyed all their credibility. You understand? And put them to shame. Yeah, I said it. Put them to shame. He blew them out of the water. It was in similar fashion to a Jimi Hendrix performance among the people of his time. I quite think that Miles was close to the same age of Jimmy when he delivered the kingdom, the Rediscovering the Kingdom series. I think he was near that age bracket. And blew them out of the water. They couldn't take it. It was too sad that he lost his way. Makes me so sad. Oh boy. But anyhow, we're giving you a direction, and for the sake of his family and his assembly associations, we're bringing some clarity to the issue that his children, if they would, they can receive instructions, and the members of the community of faith in his following would also take counsel and learn wisdom. And so receive redirection of the course that they ought to be following. And so I call your attention to all of Yasha'Allah, including the family and children of Brother Dr. the Dynamite Miles Monroe. These curses are very real to the 12 tribes, of which Dr. Miles did make mention of as being a part of his heritage. All right? He confirmed it. And so he would come under the demands of this enslavement proposition that would come about as a result of the 12 tribes rebelling against the Most High and losing the understanding of the heritage and the knowledge of whose they were and are. You understand? And so to his children and family, church family, we're offering you a word of counsel and redirection to get yourself in order with the rest or all the others of the 12 tribes of the children of Yasha'Allah, so that we can have a true course of direction and ordering a way that would lead to fulfilling the kingdom mandate as is brought out in Matthew 28, to go into all the world, as it says there, and teach, preach the good news of the kingdom. But it is qualified by the fact that the Mashiach says, go not into the way of the Gentiles, nor into any cities of the Samaritans, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Yasha'Allah. You can't get rid of that. I don't mind what church you come from, what hatred you have in your heart against the 12 tribes, and you obviously have a lot of that. A whole department of hatred. But you can't change the word of the Most High. It is settled forever in the Shamaim, according to the book of Psalms. The word is settled forever. And therefore, we look at these curses, and I encourage the brothers and sisters of Bahamas Faith Ministry to really take some time and review these scriptures. The whole Bible belongs to you. As Dr. Monroe made the effort to get you to see. You know, I mean, of course, his own example made it difficult for you and prevented you, helped to prevent you from seeing more clearly what you were looking at, what he was endeavoring to show you. His own turning aside from the path and into the way of the heathen brought about his demise, and has commandeered your own wishes and determination, willingness to follow the path of truth and Torah. According to the scriptures, the Bible is your book. I'm speaking to you, brothers and sisters of Bahamas Faith Ministry. As to all Yasha'Allah, the scriptures is our book. Do you understand? And so we have to lay claim to our heritage. And, made to be brought back in order unto the Mashiach, and to receive of the gift and honor the gift, and let the gift, the counselor, who is the Mashiach, as Brother Miles so shared with us in his kingdom, rediscovering of the kingdom mandate. He did lift up the Mashiach and the kingdom governor, but his personal example led into a downward path that became a source of his own destruction, and may very well be the catalyst behind your destruction if you will not receive correction from what the Ruach of the Most High has me to share with you now. You see, so these curses, as I alluded to some time ago in other series of teaching, and shared very candidly with the audiences, or the audiences of Yasha'Allah in particular, in the matter of the Levites. The Levites had the same problem that troubled Brother Miles. The Levites were concerned about the fact that being as they were given the role of priests unto the nation, they lost sight of the fact that the rebellion of the forefathers, even their own forefathers, because it was the Levites as the Maccabees who opposed the Mashiach while he was in Jerusalem, while he was on the earth. It was the priest, the order of the priesthood, that gave him all that problem. These were the fathers, the forefathers of the so-called Haitians today, the Levites. That's who gave him all that problem and led him out to be mistreated and crucified. And so they do still to this very day. We thank the Most High for those of Levi who have heard the word and have been striving with all their might to get right with the Most High in accepting the Mashiach and his authority and to receive the gifts of the Ruach to be entered into the kingdom. But the Levites were the problem in the time of the Mashiach. They wanted the authority to do what they were absolutely incapable of being able to do. They couldn't die for sins and forgive anybody, but they were full of avarice against the Mashiach and wanted to have him they wanted the Mashiach to be under their leadership. Imagine that. The one in whom is all the power and authority to command the universe, the cosmos. They want his position. This is how serious, diabolical, hateful, and destructive the thoughts and the works of Gabriel, Satan, when he called God, how destructive he has been against the Most High and against the people who are striving to follow the pathway of truth and humility and righteousness. So the Levites, so-called Haitians today, children of the Maccabees, who opposed the Messiah and the day of his revelation upon the earth, are today still with that same manner of rebellion and intent on destroying the works of the Most High through the Mashiach. It is the Mashiach that they are bitterly against. It is the Mashiach against whom all the world has envy and hate and unwillingness to submit, according to the book of Psalms, chapters 1 and 2, I believe it is. The kings of the earth gather themselves together against Elohim, Yahweh, and his anointed, the Mashiach, the powerhouse of the Most High. All right? So they all are arrayed, get together in a confederacy against the Mashiach. It's a pitiful sight to behold, Yasha Allah. But this is what the Levites undertook upon themselves as a priesthood and co-signed with Herod and Pilate to destroy the Mashiach. And so the modern day Levites, the Haitians, have done. And in the time of slavery, they made the attempt to get rid of the house of Judah, Yehudah, in total. Themselves being a part of the house, but they were intent on destroying the sons and daughters of the king of the house of Yahweh. And there you have had all those atrocities of assassinations and sicknesses, disease running rampant in the house of Yahweh. Judah and North America, the brothers and sisters, were battling all manner of sicknesses and disease and being trampled, destroyed by the police force, Esau, and the host of accumulated stresses that they have endured with Benjamin, the next son or the next tribe in the house of Yahweh. And I tell you that all the tribes in particular have been against Benjamin. And in the house of Judah, Yahweh, those two older brothers were confederate against Benjamin. I might as well tell you the truth. You don't have to like it. You don't have to like me. Same thing. Because we have all been in confederacy against the Mashiach, the powerhouse of Yahweh. We're going to make complete destruction of all the opposition. According to his revelation, the stone that was cut out of the mountain without hand, Daniel chapter 2 and 44, will grind everything to powder. And Levi, you got to look, you who are alive today, heading on towards the anti-messiahship. If you don't want to give heed to it, get your destruction. That's fine with me. It's fine with the Most High. But we're showing, for the sake of our brothers and sisters in Bahamas Faith Ministry, we're showing you the opposition to this same word that Dr. Miles was intent on delivering. The word of power, salvation, redemption, the word of the kingdom, who is ratified by the kingdom governor, the Ruach. This is what our brother Dr. Miles was intent on delivering. But in the historical context of his tribal conditions, he lost his way. All right. So I'm reaching out to you as brothers and sisters of the same tribe of Dr. Miles. I mean, some of you could very well be belonging to some of the other tribes. Some of you could be what we call Judah, or Levites as well, and Benjamin, all in Bahamas Faith Ministry. Or you might be from some of the other tribes. All right? You could be an absolute stranger, whatever the case. But I'm speaking directly to those who are of the household of Yasha'Allah. You gotta recognize who we are. Come back to the order of the kingdom citizens, those unto whom the kingdom is delivered, to whom the Mashiach made the kingdom available, and himself being the king over the house. He's not giving us the house to say, oh yeah, take it and run it and do well with it. No, he's coming in the house to be the ruler, the king, the Malakim in the Hebrew of the house. And he's going to set the order. So the women, you're coming in order. I know you don't want to be in order. Many of you. You got the nasty slang words that I run it. You think you run it. Well, the Mashiach is going to show you who run it. And I do pray in all sincerity and humility that all of us learn to honor Abba Yahweh, and to reverence our monarch, our king. And so through the kingdom governor who's here, the Ruach, I pray that we receive the instructions of the word. Come, Apostle Paul says, until we all come into the unity of the faith and to the knowledge of the Son, the set-apart child of Abba Yah, the Ruach, unto whom the Father gave all power and all authority to order the kingdom and order his house, well, the house that he gave to Mashiach as the nation of 12 tribes, Yasha'Allah. I mean, this, we could take this into, deep levels of discussion. But I believe I said ample words for clarification to help the understanding. Well, may I, for a little brief moment then, share with you something that was a part of my life and communication in 2010 when I wrote this book that the Ruach gave to me, The Incarnation and Man. There's my name, if you could see it. All right, that's my name, Leonard. And the Swain is a slave name, destructive name. But this is the book I wrote right about the time in 2010 when Dr. Miles, my brother, I know he's your brother, but he's my brother, when he came out with the deposit of rediscovering the kingdom. And I want to read you an excerpt from this is the first chapter or the second chapter. I want to read this excerpt for you to confirm for you that your pastor of Bahamas Faith Ministry and I were on the same track as concerning being of the household of Yasha'Allah, and of course in the same tribe, and having the same mandate. What he was endeavoring to communicate was the same kingdom word that was the mandate handed to me by the Ruach of Al-Hayya. This book published by what's the big publisher out there that everybody gets published by? So I read you an excerpt here now. This is from page 33 of The Incarnation and Man. It says, the ascension now having transpired, however, the Ruach, that you call the Holy Spirit, the Ruach was still away from the earth since his departure from Mashiach during crucifixion. That is why just before ascension, Yeshaya or Yahushai or Yahusha reminded the disciples of a promise that the Ruach would return. That's in Luke chapter 24 and verse 4, and Acts chapter 1 and verse 8. While instructing them about the Ruach's comforting ministry, teaching ability and power to convict men's hearts of sin, they are assured also that anyone refusing the Ruach, we use the word rejecting, anyone refusing the Ruach was beyond being saved. Thus, finishing his work here, Mashiach from the Mount of Olives takes his ascent back to heaven and Father Ahiah's throne. A very significant communication happened when Messiah and his 11 disciples, let me begin it again. A very significant communication happened between Messiah and his 11 disciples sometime after his resurrection. It was when he breathed upon them, saying unto them, receive you the set-apart spirit. Yohanan 20 and 22. This act of breathing upon them is identical to the Bereshith, or Genesis, narrative of the creation of man. That is Genesis 2 and 7, where it is recorded, Ahiah breathed into man's nostrils the breath of life, and he, man, became a living being. Likewise, Messiah, having finished the earthly phase of his redemptive work in the recreation of man, he breathed the breath of life upon his taught ones, the disciples, who would be the nucleus of his assembly after his departure out of the world to spread his word. The good tidings, factual word about reconciliation with Elohim, the Most High, and hence the restoration of mankind from the fall, based upon their eyewitness account of his life, crucifixion, and resurrection. Furthermore, based upon the assurance they had of his bodily ascension through the sky and to heaven from Mount Olives. So he ascends back to the Heavenly Father, Elohim's throne, there to enter into his priestly ministry. I said it again. There to enter into his priestly ministry on behalf of those trusting ones that he gave his life for as a once-for-all sacrifice. Now, because the waiting disciples did not know who the Ruach was or how he would show up in his coming, I think you heard Dr. Miles make mention of the fact that the Ruach did not live in any human being. The only human being that he lived in was the Mashiach. But he taught us, according to the scripture, that the Ruach would come upon certain individuals, prophets, and other ministers, and use them. But in the Mashiach, he was living and abiding. You see? And so, because the waiting disciples did not know who the Ruach was or how he would show up in his coming, they, like believers now, could show their willingness to receive him only by rejecting all self-power in utter humility to wait for him, according to the book of Acts, right? Where in that upper room, suddenly he or like a rushing mighty wind, he descended in fulfillment of Yahweh's promise. He began to speak with other tongues or other languages by his power. And since that time, the Ruach Elohim has remained here upon earth to carry forth his mission in the work of man's redemption. He is here witnessing to the whole earth about the Messiah, Yahushua, Yahushua, the Lamb of Elohim, slain from the foundation of the world. So this is the book that the Prophet gave me to write. And in 2010 it was published. First in Nassau by Media Publishing. Maybe you can see that, Media Publishing. Oh, what's it? Media Publishing. Oh. And then by Amazon.com. That's who published the book. In 2010, 2011, The Incarnation and Man. And so I show you this that may seem as a coincidence to you, that our master teacher, Brother Miles, and I were on the same track to deliver the kingdom word to the 12 tribes. You see, and it's a torturous endurance that I have to process daily because of his loss, because I understand his mission perfectly. It is the same mission the Father gave to me. And so, in the power of his Ruach, it is my endeavor to continue to deliver the word, to fulfill the mission of the rediscovering of the kingdom, like Pastor, Brother Dr. Miles Monroe began to do. And as we, broken up Israelite, as it said, as we are striving to do, we have quite a bit of work to do because many of our brethren are still holding on to idolatry. And for instance, they're worshiping according to two major star formations that the Most High warned us about in the scriptures, in the book of Amos and in the book of Acts. Those two particular star system called Star of Molech, that we know as the so-called Star of David, that the Jewish use as a symbol of their authority in the land, in the homeland of Yasha'Allah, what they call the land of Israel. And then the more authoritative sign or symbol that's used by the Masonic, that sign with the seal of Solomon, or the ring of Solomon, appended to it. You see it when you see the image called the Baphomet. You can see the ring go on the top of the picture, if you will, the picture of the sculpture of the ring. That is the seal of Solomon. We have been destroyed by those two symbols that the Masonic use. I'm offering this to you as the brothers of Bahamas Faith Ministry, offering you this knowledge. The children of Yasha'Allah, who now know who they are, have been under chastisement through our forefathers for giving allegiance and acceptance and worship to these two symbols, what we call the 5-pointed star, the pentagram of the Baphomet. That's what has destroyed our people. With the star of Molech, what they call the Star of David. And there's many of our brethren, older brothers in the nation, who were teachers long ago, long before the Father brought me into, a complete understanding and knowledge of the word and of my own self and of my own communal inheritance in the tribes. I've met brothers who are even older than I am, giving allegiance to these disgusting pieces of satanic destruction. The pentagram, 5-star, that's on the Baphomet symbol, and it's also on the Eastern Star symbol. The Eastern Star that is called the ladies, the women's lodge director. Same star that is the pentagram that houses the individual, the person, the personality of the destroyer of mankind, the Baphomet, the pentagram, the seal of Solomon. So we offer you these nuggets of truth to help you to understand from the book of Deuteronomy the curses that have been destroying our people because of rebellion, giving allegiance to these matters, these stars, the pentagram and the star of Molech, called the Star of David. These are destructive symbols that gives authority to Satan and the demonic hosts to destroy us and destroy our children. That's what we have been doing. Raising destruction for the children, the babies who are unable to protect themselves, except by, the absolute power and authority of the Most High. But we, as the older ones, are ordered to train them, according to the book of Proverbs. Train up the child the way he should go. He or she, we have neglected because we have been worshiping devils and using these star systems to govern our activities, our way of life. Call it to repentance. And so, brethren, that is my contribution to you, to the house, to the nation right now. And my prayer, of course, is that the mercy of Abba Yah, that he is manifesting through the Mashiach, who is now in the set-apart place that we call the sanctuary in the heavens. If you didn't know, I am authorized to share and advise you that the Mashiach is now in the most set-apart place of the sanctuary in heaven, administering the rites of confession of sins as our high priest, according to the order of Melchizedek, pleading for us for our safety, for our retrieval out of the hands of Esau and the nations. Those who are committed to the use of these star system that we call the pentagram and the star, the Star of David. These are demonic, satanic, destructive symbols. How long does the Messiah have to plead with you, Yasha'Allah, to leave these things alone? We have prominent brothers in the nation that are using these signs and symbols that have been destroying the nation for so long, and you won't let them go. I have some more word on these star systems for you in a little while. So I pray, brothers and sisters, young men and young women, our babies, boys and girls, who have ears to hear what the Spirit is saying to Yasha'Allah as we gear ourselves up to leave out of the contraption of the brutal enslavement that attended us for 400 years. Mosiah has come to our delivery. So I pray, Yasha'Allah, the peace, the Most High, Yahweh, in Mashiach, and the fellowship and the sealing of the Ruach, the kingdom governor, be upon us and deliver us and be our peace in the name of the beloved Mashiach, who intercedes for us now in the Shamayim, in the set-apart place. Honor and esteem unto Abiyah. Blessings to you, Yasha'Allah.